Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is the Muslim Philanthropy Podcast. My name is Muhi Khwaja on behalf of the American Muslim Community Foundation. I'm so excited to have on Salvy Ahsan from Ma'ruf Dallas, where she is the development coordinator. Ma'ruf Dallas supports refugee families towards self-sufficiency. And Salvy is pursuing her Master in Divinity in Islamic Chaplaincy at Bayan Islamic Graduate School and is a recipient of the Muslim Changemaker Scholarship. With over 15 years of experience in the nonprofit world, schools, and mosques, she has held key roles such as events coordinator, girls youth director, and educational advisor at the Islamic Association of Allen. A full-time mom and caretaker, she holds a bachelor's in psychology with a focus on community psychology and early childhood development, and is a graduate of the Karama Muslim Women's Law and Leadership Program. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, Muhi, and assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here on the podcast.
Definitely. Let's dive a little bit deeper into who you are and share a little bit more about your background, where you grew up, what your community experience was like, and we'll go from there.
Sure, absolutely. So, again, thank you so much for having me on here. Humbled to be on the podcast. My name is Salvy. I grew up in New York originally, so if I have a habit of talking too fast, please let me know. And my background, my BA is actually in psychology and with a focus on community psychology and early childhood development. After I graduated, I actually so my parents originally wanted me to go to med school. That didn't work out. But I started.
What other option did you have?
Yeah. But I was like, please let me major. Mental health is something that's always been very, very important to me. So I told them, let me major in psychology and then I'll go to law school. That also didn't happen, but I did sign up to take the LSAT. But soon after that, I actually started working at Islamic schools and back in Atlanta, Georgia. I really enjoyed working with kids, and then I got certified as a teacher over there. And then in 2016 is when I moved to Dallas. I had my daughter. So for a couple of years, wasn't doing, just momming full time. And then I started working at a local masjid here as a summer camp teacher. And I was working on bringing a lot of that secular education, making, education fun to the, Islamic education part of things. So I worked in the community in Allen for about 6 to 7 years under different roles. Yesterday I actually just gave a presentation at Bayan about some certain, communal traumas that we went through and, how much I learned from that role, especially only being the only full-time female employee there. And then 2 years ago, I kind of switched, I started studying again at Qalam and Bayan. It was a bit much, but, I was doing that full time. And then I started becoming a student. And then a few months ago, I actually joined Ma'ruf Dallas. But throughout my years in Dallas, I've always, kind of volunteered with Ma'ruf as a community member, but alhamdulillah, was able to join the team officially a few months ago. Serving others just has always been something that's been important to me. I would say it kind of started when I was in middle school. I remember doing a project for UNICEF. It was like a water project. And then it went to high school. I was the president of Key Club, which was a lot of local helping, just local families in need. And then when I was in college, I was doing a lot of, I was the vice president of our MSA, and we had a lot of fundraiser dinners every year with Islamic Relief for different causes. And with that, in Atlanta, there's a large refugee community. So I actually started my own grassroots organization with a few other students to help, as however organically we could. So I've especially the cause with refugees and local needs is something that's always somehow organically just always worked out in my life. And then alhamdulillah, once I joined Ma'ruf Dallas, it was kind of like full circle, everything coming back. So alhamdulillah.
That's really neat. And I love hearing how many others across the community have been connected to Islamic relief and doing those programs. You know, I grew up in a community where it was almost like a rite of passage. My elder siblings were in charge of the youth group. And then when I was in high school, I became involved in the youth group and then eventually became the president of the youth group. And we coordinated these annual iftars since like 1994, 1995. And
Yeah.
it was entirely youth run. So it's really, I'm glad to see other people having a similar trajectory into this space. And that was super formative for me to see Unwar leading an organization, traveling across the country, raising these funds to support the needs of others who are less fortunate. And then also, you know, seeing the activism in our own community and people coming together to establish the mosque and the programs and services. Um, you know, I think I gravitated towards that naturally. So, you know, as well, didn't go to med school or become a lawyer or engineer, but I'm very happy to see more people entering into this space because it's sorely needed. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's so true. And yeah, it's just like I always make dua to Allah, just with like, life has its ups, to just guide me towards whatever you think is best for me. And I never feel like it's anything of my own doing. It's like alhamdulillah, Allah has put me in these spaces and these positions and these people around me that have always kind of guided me kind of back to this. Um, so, especially with development coordinating, I didn't really know per se what that role meant, especially because, as I mentioned, my background's in psychology and, my studies in chaplaincy, but it all really kind of with my role at Maru specifically, my role is focused on donor relations and making those connections. And I really feel like everything that all the experiences that I've had until now has kind of led up to this specific role. And, inshallah, after I graduate from Bayan, I intend on going into chaplaincy, community chaplaincy. And, I'm starting my field work this semester, and I'm actually doing that at Maruf while I'm doing my, the development coordinator role, but also being able to, a lot of our clients need that spiritual counseling, chaplaincy. We offer therapy here, but kind of also that spiritual side that chaplains bring. So alhamdulillah, it's just all full circle for me.
Alhamdulillah, that's really great to see the integration and ability to work on this. For those that don't know a little bit about Bayan, if you want to share a little bit more about your program and what you're doing there.
Sure. So Bayan Islamic Graduate School is an accredited graduate school. It used to be based in Claremont in California, but now it's based in Chicago. So they offer different programs like an MDiv in Islamic chaplaincy, a master's in Islamic leadership. There's a few other programs, but I'm in the MDiv for Islamic chaplaincy program. And so as he mentioned, I'm a recipient of the Muslim Changemaker Scholarship. So mashallah, Bayan is a space that brings a lot of our Islamic sciences and with how it applies to modern day and applying us being able to apply our faith in action, which is actually the slogan of Maruf as well, putting faith into strengthening faith through action. So a lot of people ask me this, like, okay, why are you studying at two different seminaries? How are you doing this? So at Qalam, mashallah, at Qalam, I'm studying Islamic sciences. I graduated from the year one program, which was in classical Arabic and foundational Islamic sciences, and I'm part-time over there. So over there, I think I get my spiritual grounding and kind of the traditional sciences. And again, alhamdulillah, I'm able to go in person because it's based in Dallas. And with Bayan, I'm able to, it's an accredited program. So, you're able to get a job at like a hospital, at a prison, at a university. I think a lot of those a lot of us that are in community work organically do chaplaincy, but this kind of puts a lot of that theory, a lot of that real life with theory and, with a framework. Yesterday, I actually had to, there was a symposium at Bayan that I had to give a speech presentation on. So as I was mentioning to you while I was at Allen, there was a few different kind of communal tragedies beyond just regular masjid drama and things that happened. You may have heard about the Allen Mall outlet mall shooting, and there was 2 murder suicides that happened. And when our community faced those things, I didn't have any formal theoretical framework to work in. I was just kind of organically thrown in the situation, had to work with the media, work with, healing for myself, my family, and the whole community, and just like the logistical matters of things. As we know, in masjid spaces, there's not usually like a whole team working on this. It's, the imam and then the volunteers. So, yesterday in my presentation, I spoke about I did what organically felt right for me and just kind of did what I could. But then after I joined Bayan, I was able to get those, validate the things that I did do. And then also, inshallah, may Allah protect us from ever going through such a tragedy again. But it gave me a framework that we do really, the Muslim community, sometimes they were very reactive rather than being proactive. But Bayan has given me the framework, I can build a crisis response framework with the tools that I've gotten from Bayan, with my real life experiences. So I think, Bayan does an excellent job with that. Our professors are just world renowned scholars and, experts in their fields. So, and the way the classes work, they're hybrid. So we'll have online classes, and then we'll have a week intensive in Chicago, where we'll be able to spend basically 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. with our professors and our peers. And my classmates themselves are huge community leaders. And it's just sometimes I'm how am I here? But mashallah, again, so just blessed.
You deserve to be there.
Oh, thank you. But literally, I look around the classroom and I'm just oh my God. But it's just such a great learning experience with our professors and just our classmates ourselves. So, I'm so grateful for both Qalam and Bayan, for everything it provides me at a spiritual level, for myself internally, and I think in turn, my family and then the community as a whole.
Right. Now, kind of, you talked about how all of that helps you in your role at Ma'ruf Dallas. Talk a little bit more about the programs and services at Ma'ruf and your role there.
Absolutely. So Ma'ruf Dallas is a nonprofit, supporting underserved communities, particularly refugees, unhoused, and low-income families. So there's different, starting from immediate needs to help building a path towards self-sufficiency. We have a food pantry, we offer mental health services, we have job trainings, and so just to kind of go down a bullet list of what we kind of do. So we have the case managers that meet with each of our clients and kind of builds a customized plan based on that. So, we have our food pantry that, when a new family comes in, we will usually kind of see, our case managers will see what their immediate needs are, and they'll, provide a food box, and if there's any hygiene products and things like that, and then kind of have a follow-up meeting and see if there's help needed with rental assistance. We have something called the Training for the Future program, where we'll have our some clients go through a trade school program. So whether it be HVAC technicians, medical assistants, and they go through the program, and then we also match them up with an internship. And sometimes while they're there at the internship, those internships, they'll hire them and they'll get a job through that. So that's something that's, I think is really, really amazing. It's, mashallah, a lot of organizations, and at a grassroots level from college, in college, I remember us, giving out food and things like that. But I think Maruf really takes it a step further, where we're helping our clients become self-sufficient and, able to provide for their families and empowering them. As we know, like a lot of the clients we serve, they were doctors, engineers back in their home countries, and they're having to come here and, not get any jobs at all or work certain odd jobs. And, it's a whole, it takes a toll on them emotionally, obviously financially, and from just different angles. So alhamdulillah, like I feel like Maruf really provides the holistic kind of framework to empower individuals. And I can speak for myself, but even in my whole team, we all never feel like we're helping anyone. It really, like, our clients help us, like, really see the bigger picture in things. And and it just humbles us. And I really feel like a lot of what I'm learning in my studies, I'm able to apply here, like whether it be that compassionate understanding of the whole human being. Like, there's so many layers to a person. It's not just like what you see at face value. So I think my studies have really helped me see that, it constantly, whether it be, we started this new initiative called the Daily Ansar. It's kind of like a recurring daily program. And we learn about the Muhajirun from Makkah, who were literally refugees who came to Medina, and the Ansar helped them and integrate within the community. It wasn't like us helping them, kind of. It was like just building a whole prophetic community, and everyone worked together to really promote, like, everyone's strengths and empower each other. So the Daily Ansar initiative that we have is basically building on that legacy of being able to help each other and have a truly prophetic community, where it's not like it's not a power dynamic. We're really one community. We're all brothers and sisters. And with the Daily Ansar, people who participate in the program, their donations directly go towards those immediate needs, such as rental assistance and food security, and that brings it together. So the Daily Ansar is something that we recently launched, and it's something very, very close to my heart, because we literally came up with the name based on there's a lot of stuff that I learned in my studies. And yeah.
That's
And
great. It's sorely needed in communities across the country. And I know that, resources are often a challenge, and your role as a development coordinator there, like, what are some of the ways in which Maruf Dallas is working towards helping these families?
so, as I mentioned, we're helping with rental assistance, helping getting, helping them go to the trade school, the training needed for job training. We also started a budgeting class recently that our founder, Aisha Wahid, she teaches that. We have ESL classes. And with current needs that coming, something this week, actually, we had to launch clothing drive specifically for undergarments. We reached out to the local ISD, and they were saying that a lot of the refugee families, the kids just don't have, they don't have those basic clothing. So we work with the community whenever we have a need like this that comes up, to collect those items. And as with me and the rest of our team, we're able to reach out to community members whenever we have these, whether it be in the summer. There's the heat in Texas is insane, so we had a fan drive, and the community shows up. There's no way, like, I have my role, but there's no way for us to be able to do what we do without the support of the community. And so just directly, I feel like we're very, what sets, with Maruf, we're very transparent with, like, how, when the donations come in, what's happening with the donation. So and you can literally see that impact in action. I always, as the development coordinator, I always invite our donors to come to our office to see
Yeah,
the impact of our
definitely.
the work we're doing, like whether it's an ESL class happening, where there's a nourishment class happening for the youth. And a lot of these initiatives we have are community driven. So
Yeah, I think providing donors with that mission moment is a great way for stewardship, allowing the donors to see the impact of the mission, and really integrate into the organization.
absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
in terms of your own fundraising strategy, I would imagine that there's either state or federal grant opportunities for helping with resettlement. Typically, if you know or can share, what amount is typically the spread between like individual donations and grants from other sources?
Sure. So we actually don't apply for as many just grants and federal, just because, and I deal more on, for my specific role, I deal more on a personal donor base. So I don't want to speak on something that I don't have too much information on. But the reason why most of our donations are actually just private donations, because that way we have more kind of flexibility to do
Definitely.
the type of programs that we want to do. I think, Fuad, our executive director, was telling me when COVID hit, a lot of organizations had limitations on what they could do with the money, the donations they had. But alhamdulillah, because a lot of ours was private donations, we were able to go out more and do more during COVID. And yeah, so from the ranges, like, my specific role is more focused on just donor relations and, you know, um, but we'll have, like, our ranges from, $1 a day, which is the daily Ansar initiative, to, we have donors that have given over 3 figures, so that would kind of be the range. But I'll let hopefully Fuad can get on a call with you one time and on the podcast, and he can share more on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good because, as you said, especially with state or federal, there's going to be restrictions.
Yes, yes.
Maybe community foundations or family foundations have more of a trust-based philanthropy approach where they allow the organization to use it for operations the best the organization sees fit. But we're starting to see that trend a little bit more in philanthropy. But it's always a good thing to have more individual support and have that be a lion's share of your budget, because as we know from Giving USA, individual donors make over 80% of giving, if you include foundations and other sources as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so just 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure if you've heard about North Texas Giving Day. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually joined, we've been a part of North Texas Giving Day, and this year, alhamdulillah, we had a goal of $10,000, and we weren't really sure if we were going to meet that. And me personally, I was like, I'm not sure, but alhamdulillah, we met our goal. And it was just really, and Communities Foundation of Texas is,
Yeah,
the main source for that. And we were able to partner up with, initiatives like this and really create huge impact. And different organizations that, so Communities Foundation gave us a grant through one of our donors that came to one of our events, a women's empowerment luncheon, and she works closely with communities, and they were able to give us a grant. Just like local, we partnered up with local businesses, and just it was a huge community effort. And and a lot of our donors have their own foundations, so they'll often
great.
donate through their foundations as well. And then, like, last week, actually before I went to Chicago, the Dallas Muslim Running Club organized a run for Maruf Dallas, and that generated a lot. So alhamdulillah, like I said, it's really like a community-based initiative.
That's great. And then with the 200 Muslim Women Who Care uh, creating a chapter in Dallas. Hopefully that's like a new opportunity that Maruf Dallas can get integrated into and
Yes, yes,
nominated for.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
I'm
it's
super
great to see
excited
all
for that.
these other opportunities coming about.
Yes, yeah, really grateful.
Um, in regard to, just in general, any career advice that you would want to impart on people who are considering coming into this space, or maybe there's another refugee agency across the country that wants to implement a different program that they hear you're doing. What's some advice that you have for people in this space?
So I would say, before I begin anything, it's just like resetting your intentions and gratitude. So this is something one of my teachers taught me, and just really for any line of work, but I specifically for this line of work, we really need to keep our intentions in check and be grateful for whatever it is that we have in our life. Sorry, that was an email notification. But it's like, your heart really has to be in it. And I'm going to be honest, like, I'm very like raw about my own experiences, and it might not be like the correct thing to say, but, even when I was applying for this job, I told Fuad, I was like, I'm not a fundraiser. Like, I don't know if this is like the role for me.
Uh-huh.
But he, I guess, saw something in me, and, the being able to just really empathize with others and being able to connect with others is really, really important. And, each of us have our different roles and different strengths. But specifically, I guess, in the development coordinator role, like I said, my role involves a lot with dealing with donors, and you just really have to be like sincere and, making sure keeping, and I'm going to talk again, just speak from my own perspective. Just, I really have to keep myself in check. Like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Why am I doing this? And being aware that it can be very emotionally and mentally demanding. And like, as you said, everyone is trying to fundraise for something, right? So it can be very mentally, emotionally, physically tolling, but at the same time, it's incredibly rewarding when you see the impact of the work that you're having. And like I said earlier, I really feel like, those we're serving are actually serving me. And so for me personally, it's really like uplifting the work that we do. And just focusing on the why. And for me, like, I really do feel like, this is our faith in action. Our religion isn't just, of course we do our obligatory acts, but this giving to others, helping the community, is such a big part of our faith. So just remembering that, and the work that we do is bigger than us, and it's about just serving others and creating lasting change. And building those strong partnerships and networking is so important. Like I said, collaboration is key. So having that people connecting, just going
Mhm.
up, like I naturally am a really shy and like anxious person, but like for us to do the work we do, we need to talk to each other. And,
Sure.
sometimes you may not have like but just, I guess, pushing your own boundaries a little bit, and, being comfortable going up and asking, introducing yourself, and, just making those connections, because you never know who you'll talk to can support you in the bigger picture that you have. And just to go back, on that thought that I mentioned about, everyone is fundraising for something, especially the Muslim Ummah, we are going through so much at so many levels. And sometimes I know, like, whether it be donors or those who are raising the funds, it can be like, but I don't think it should ever be like we're competing against each other. We need to give, I remember Dr. Omar Suleiman said this one, he's at like every fundraiser every weekend here in Dallas, and then some. But he said we need to give ourselves to a little bit of every cause, and, at whatever capacity it can. So whether it be through, doing the work we do, it can be through our time. It doesn't always have to be through money. So just being able to give a little bit of ourselves to each cause. And, we don't forget about, Maruf, as I mentioned, is very local Dallas based, but
Sure.
that doesn't mean we forget about our brothers and sisters in Sudan and Palestine. We continue giving and
Right.
we continue making dua, but we also need to think about the local brothers and sisters that are suffering as well. So
Yeah.
in career advice, like again, I think I never formally studied fund development but like I think those, having that background in psychology, working with kids has
Absolutely.
made me very like people centric.
Yeah.
And even though when I worked at the masjid, I wasn't really I did a lot of community events. So just having that understanding of what community and the community needs are, I think really helped me organically arrive here. But I'm sure, if I'm like in my mid 30s, it took me this long to figure out what I want to do in life. But if you're someone, it's a journey for everyone. It's a different journey for everyone, but stay focused. I think just being clear what your goal is and intentions, and then, you know, going staying true to that intention and going back to that and revisiting that and just dua. Like honestly, I know that sounds cliche, but literally every single day I'm just like, Allah, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. Please guide me towards what would be good for me. And alhamdulillah, this is where I am. And last thing to add to this, and like as as I mentioned, I am a little bit of a shy person, so like asking for money is a little bit of it's kind of awkward for me. But something that my teachers have taught me, and I've discussed this with Brother Fuad as well, that Allah is literally putting me in a position to blessed me in a position where I can ask on behalf of those who can't ask for themselves with dignity and
Right.
compassion. And that's what I have to remind myself every day. So like, yeah, I can still be like awkward, shy Salvy on the side, but when it comes to this work, I think, it really drives me.
I appreciate that insight, and it's always great to hear, collaboration as a key part of that, and to think through development as like the art and the science of fundraising, right? So really combining both worlds, but people often think of, fundraising as like event centric or like who can give this amount and like inspire them and all of those things. But in our profession, we're really in the relationship management of donors and engaging them with the organization. So, that can show up in a different way. And even if some of us are more awkward or shy in making the ask, that's only one aspect of fundraising, right? There's identifying the people who might want to be involved. There's cultivating those relationships. There's stewarding those relationships. So, some of us have to play all of those roles on small teams, but other ways, there's executive directors who are also pseudo fundraisers. There's board members who should also be working in this area to support the development staff. So, more power to you, and really great to learn more about Matruf Dallas. Keep up the fantastic work, and looking forward to having more people learn about your work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me on here. And, thank you for all the amazing work that you do. And, I've learned so much from your podcast and just from all the different individuals you've had on here. So again, thank you so much. May Allah bless the work that you do and
I
how you
mean,
continue inspiring all of us.
I mean, and it goes both ways. So just one plug for the American Muslim Community Foundation's annual symposium and Muslim Philanthropy Awards on November 23rd. It's all free. Register, nominate different charities. Would love to see Maruf Dallas have a nomination there, and any mosque or schools or board members affiliated with any of the fantastic organizations you're part of. So definitely be sure to check the event out.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Take
Take
care.
care. Assalamu alaikum.
Like,